The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory be to you, Lord.
The 11 disciples set out for Galilee, to the mountain where he arranged to meet them. When they saw him, they fell down before him, though some hesitated. Jesus came up and spoke to them. He said, "All authority in heaven has been given to me. Go therefore and make disciples of all the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, and teach them to observe all the commands I gave you. And know that I am with you always, yes, to the end of time." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
If you are young enough, you would remember the days when at the Piarco International Airport you had a waving gallery. Remember that? Huh? And you could have actually seen your beloved going up the stairs of the plane. And just as they make that final step inside, they turn around and they wave you. Huh? You remember that? Huh? And sometimes again. Huh? That's very anxious time. You know, some people suffer with separation anxiety. That's an anxious time. I wonder if I will see this person again, especially if they go in the United States. My dear friends, I can just imagine the emotions that were going through the hearts of the disciples, and when Jesus was making his final part from them. Because here they are, and Jesus is leaving. He's going back to the Father from whence he came. He is giving them the farewell, and they're actually seeing him go. So here he's taken up on the cloud, and with two angels at the side, and they're actually seeing him leave. So you can imagine the kind of emotions that would have been experienced at that. Here is their beloved whom they trusted, and he who's now leaving. But my dear friends, they would have taken great comfort. You know why? Huh? You know why? Because he promised them something. He promised them. He promised them two things. One, you'll not be alone. I am going to send you the Holy Spirit. You will not be alone. In Luke's Gospel, we heard, and I will be with you always. I will be with you always. I will text you every day. Every day you're getting that text. And you're getting one for the morning and one for lunchtime too. When you reach, you forget all that texting. Yes? That texting, you forget that texting long time. Life is too busy. I will be with you always. I will remain connected to you. Huh? And so this was Jesus promised them that he will be with them always. He promised them he will be with them always by the presence of his Holy Spirit. His second promise to them is that he will come back again. I will come back. This same Jesus you see go will return in the same way. So it's a promise. He promised them that I will come back. Don't worry. You know, at the time when I come back, and I'll take everybody up with me. This sounds so familiar, eh? But a lot of it is based on the credibility of the person who makes the promise. When some people tell you stand up, run, eh? When some people tell you stand up, run, and run fast, because you know it's a trap. You know there's a trap. You know the kind of character they are, that their words cannot be trusted, that you know that they're just giving you a 6 for 9 or 19. Huh? You can't take their word at all. But Jesus' word is different. Because this is not the first time Jesus is making a promise to his disciples. This is not the first time. He promised them, he said, the Son of Man is going to his death, but he will suffer grievously and he will rise on the third day. He was faithful to the first promise. He was faithful to the first promise. And it's only when we see a trail of credibility, a trail where this person can be trusted, that this person's words can be trusted, then we will be comforted with, I will be with you always. Then we will be comforted with, I will send you the Holy Spirit. Then we will be comforted with the fact, I will come back again. If there is not that credibility, then whatever is as good as wind. That might create more anxiety than comfort, because now you're wondering if the person telling the truth, if they're lying, what's happening. And here with Jesus, the word of God, the truth of God, gives us his word. And it's upon his word that we stand. And so the ascension of Jesus is Jesus' elevation at the right hand of the Father. Having fulfilled the work of the Father, Jesus now returns to the Father, where all power, honor, and glory is given to him. Where he now is crowned King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Where all dominion and sovereignty is bestowed upon him. And because all things are under his feet, it is because of this that we can now trust him. That we can now trust in his grace and his mercy and in his love. And so in the first reading, where Jesus is seen going to see in the Old Testament, the prophet Elijah said, if you see me leave, then I will pour out upon you a double portion, the Lord will pour out upon you a double portion of my spirit. So his disciple Elisha was very fortunate that when they were walking together, a whirlwind came and just took Elisha up, and the prophet Elisha said, my master, and then he disappeared. And then they went to look to see if the wind threw him down in the valley. They never found him. But because he was true to the promise, he promised them, if you saw me leave, then you will get a double portion of the Spirit. Here the disciples are seeing their master leave, the great prophet, the one who is to come like in the figure of Elijah. The great prophet Christ Jesus is seeing, he's being taken up on the cloud. In the Old Testament, the cloud signifies the presence of the Spirit, the Shekinah glory, the cloud that would have hovered over the Israelites in the day, and a pillar of fire in the night that would lead them through the desert. The same cloud that filled the temple when the temple was blessed by Solomon. The same cloud that hovered over Mary at the incarnation. This same cloud is the presence of God. So Jesus is being taken up, and his disciples see him leave. And so upon them will come a double portion of his grace and his mercy. The promise is already being kept in the very act of Jesus going. In the very act that they are seeing him go, the promise is already being ratified and is already being kept. And so this going of Jesus is important. But more so is his commands, because when we leave, listen, I'm going, make sure and take care of the children. Don't let them go outside. Don't let them get into trouble. They have to go to school. We leave a whole host of instructions. We leave a whole host of instructions when we are leaving. And Jesus does the same. In his departure, he leaves instructions. And the fundamental instructions Jesus leaves to his disciples is what? All power is given to me. What is the gospel? What is the all authority in heaven has been given to me? What is it? Go and do what? Go and make disciples. Go and make disciples. That is the fundamental instruction that has been given to us, to the disciples, to the apostles. Go and make disciples. That's Jesus' last command. That is his last command. That is the heart he did in making disciples, and now he's asking the apostles to do the same. Go and make disciples. And how do you do that? He's saying, the process of discipleship making is being baptized. It's not the end, it's just the beginning, and then to teach. And so it's important. Very often we have put the cart before the horse, because we have a whole bunch of Catholics who are not disciples. Unfortunately, we have a whole big bunch of Catholics who are not disciples. Could be about 80-something%, because it's only 13% who has come to church. Well, when they could have come to church, I don't know what happened when the government opens up. We might get some more disciples wanting to come to church. God may be so. But a whole bunch of people who are baptized, but they are not disciples. Because what we have done is that we have put the cart before the horse. We have focused on baptism, but we have not focused on making disciples. That's the command of Jesus. I am not making it up. Go, therefore, and make disciples. The other clauses are the subordinate clauses. How? Baptize them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and teach them to observe my commandments. We cannot observe the commands of the Lord if we are not his disciples. It is only a disciple who will be faithful to the commands of God. This mandate that is given by us to Jesus, this last mandate just before he went back to the Father, is an important mandate. And the mandate is precisely that we are to make disciples. But it is not up to us. It is not up to us. And that is the good thing that we solace in. That God gives us the strength. So he tells the disciples, you shall be my witnesses, in the first reading in the Acts of the Apostles, in Jerusalem, Judea, and Samaria, and indeed to the ends of the earth. That you will make disciples in the ends of the earth. But wait. But wait. Wait. Because it is not about you. It's about the Holy Spirit that will come and empower you. I will send the Holy Spirit, because all power and authority has been given to me. This is my plan. This is my plan. This is my will. This is how I want it done. This is what Jesus is saying. All power and authority has been given to me. And if you follow my plan, then things will work out. And what's the plan? Wait. Sometimes when we have to go, we just wait. And when we have to wait, we just go. Because we are not listening to commands. Here Jesus says, wait. Wait for what? Wait because I have to fulfill the promise first. The first promise is that I will send you the Holy Spirit. When I go back to the Father, I will send you another comforter, another advocate. And it is he who will remind you of everything, and he will empower you so that you might be able to make disciples of the nations. Wait. And so, my dear friends, this is what we are about, waiting. The Lord is indeed enthroned in glory, in honor, in power, and in dominion. And we can trust in this God who has promised us that if we wait long for the outpouring of the Holy Spirit, then we will indeed be empowered to be a church filled with disciples, to be a church filled with men and women who are willing, able, and empowered to observe the commands of the Lord, who are going out to proclaim the good news of Christ, witnessing in word and in deed to the message of goodwill. My dear friends, this is our task. This is our mission. This is called the Great Commission. Matthew chapter 28 verse 19 is called the Great Commission. It is the Great Commission because here you have a clear vision statement, a mission statement. This is the mission of the church. This is what the church is about. Don't be confused with everything else that it takes place. This is what the church is about. A little mission statement. I think I'm going to blow up that when the church opens, so you'll be surprised as you walk in. You see a 20 statement of Go, make disciples of all nations. Huh? I think I will do that for you when you return soon enough. Because we cannot forget what we are about. Part of the problem of the church is we forget what we are about. We have forgotten who we are and what we are about. And once we forget who we are and what we are about, then any road is going to take us there. We will end up anywhere. Anywhere, any port for a storm. Because there is no focus. There is no direction. There is no clarity. There is no single-mindedness. But what we find is a lot of distractions. We pull here, we pull left, we pull right, we pull all over. And in the end, we're still right where we started. We're still right where we started. Because we are not clear in where we want to go. We are not clear in what the Lord is asking of us. My dear friends, Jesus is the Lord. He has promised us certain things. Let us therefore be faithful to him, so that his promises might be fulfilled in our lives. It is not just for us to continue to baptize pagans. That's not the mission of the church. People with no faith, you throw some water on them and you don't see them to the next, till you're lucky if they come to first communion now. They ain't coming to that. You're lucky if you see them again. That's not our call. That's not my call. I didn't study all my life for that. It is to make disciples of men and women whose heart and soul is set upon the Lord, who will reorder their lives and reorder their priorities according to the commands of God, who would allow Christ to be first in their lives, and everything else and everyone else takes second place in their lives, who would walk after the ways and manners of Christ, who would continue to proclaim the good news of Christ by good works and by words of encouragement and by witnessing to a life of Christ wherever they may find themselves. That's a call for us as disciples. And guess what? It's not going to get any easier. That's what it is. There's no discount, there's no COVID sale on discipleship. This is what it is. And this is what it is either we decide to be disciples of Christ, or we choose another path. But the church has been brought to a place today where the Lord is indeed inviting us to make a decision. If we want the church, so easy the Lord can close up his church, you know. The Lord can close up his church. Don't feel that you are indispensable, that the Lord needs you. The Lord can close up his church, could allow his church to be closed. Easy like that. But we have to make a decision as to what we want. Probably the Lord no longer wants us in church. Probably he wants us outside of the church, so that we might be able to witness, that we might be able to go from Jerusalem to Samaria to the ends of the earth. Probably the Lord wants us out of the church, and probably we have gotten too comfortable in the church. Who knows? Only the Holy Spirit. But what we do know is that the Lord is God, and all power and all authority has been granted to him, and we are called to continue his mission by the power of the Holy Spirit. And so the next couple of days, we will continue to wait and pray for this empowerment so that we will continue the work of God.